Okay, so last chapter was a mess. Absolute mess. Uh, as a quick summary, chapter. Oh, I forgot to turn on looping. I always forget something. Um, so the last chapter. So chapter 4. What? No, there was a stream yesterday. No one showed up though. But so yesterday, chapter 5 was chapter 4 was they went to the mall, and it starts off with Reed being fucked up, and then it ends with Trish being fucked up. And Trish does it to kill Anon. Like, she tries to strangle him, and it's really weird. And then we got chapter 5, where they went to Stella's house, and it was just this really protracted thing that ended with, oh, Anon, my best friend killed themselves after the horrors of a school shooting. And Anon's like, oh, that's so sad. I want to kill myself, too. And then they were like, oh, Anon, you're so romantic. Mwah. Like, I'm perfectly willing to go with the angle of these, Listen, I'm perfectly willing to go with the angle that it's supposed to be like, oh, they're loving each other because their emotions are fucked up because people can't tell fear from arousal sometimes. On the other hand, man, I don't think you should make out with someone like have a big old I love you session after No, yesterday was the same time as this. Did it? Like, I know it was streaming. I saw the little streaming thing the whole damn time, going like, yeah, we're streaming, we're live. Was it? Oh my god, was it? Oh, that was. So that was why I was still in Stream Sync instead of switching to analytics. Ugh. YouTube does not have like good feedback for, hey, you're actually live now. Because there's like two things, right? There's a little button in the top right. There's the fact that it calls them concurrent viewers instead of waiting viewers, and then there's the fact that it switches to analytics. But there's no like big fat glowing button. I mean, I guess there's the live thing, but that I don't see that because that's like in the top left. And it's on the little preview window, so why would I care about that? Oh, God, stop reminding me this man's birthday! Jesus, phone! That's like the 5th time today I've been like, bzz, bzz, hey, someone's birthday's today, buddy! What is going on, man? Where were we? I'm putting my hand in my pocket. Now, don't worry, Scary Dave. You know what? You know what? Let me open chapter 5 so I can look back and reminisce and I can 15-minute drive. Yeah, it really did feel like there was just one day, but there is like a time skip in between. But it took forever. Really, all we established is that Stella's parents are cool people and they're French. Like, my God, chapter 5 didn't do anything. Everything it did was already established in chapter 4. Like, I guess there's the kiss at the end, like a little, oh man, we love. Also, I'm just gonna put my little beans down, right? There's another big problem that I have with this, and that's mind you, Anon has been in Fang's room, and he's had sex with Fang, or implied to have sex, or at least had an intimate encounter with Fang, and he has this going on. Also, it's supposed to be DEFCON 1 because he's a fucking loser, but like, this is really weird from a guy who is like, I don't think Anon at this point in his life could be like this. He's been too intimate with women. He has like several female friends, or had, and for the most part, like, even in ending one where he's still a fucking dipshit, he's still somewhere before this. You think after the school shooting you take this more seriously, and then they just go, mwah, like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, 1 page ago, this man is talking about how Nasser was looking Stella in the eyes. No, wait, it was Naomi that looked Stella in the eyes before she died, and Fang pulled the gunner. And this is where you start making out? Great. I fucking love it when my characters start kissing while they're talking about how they want to kill themselves. Great. Yeah, Esther season is an excuse for Stella, not for Anon. Well, that's enough bitching at the beginning. 3 years ago, we're doing a flashback. Why? November 6th, 2017, 2016. Does anyone remember the hit movie 2016? Man. Morbius could not equal that one. You could do. Oh, we're doing Stella's POV. First off, you didn't fucking write that one down. I prefer it if you make that a little clearer. But on the other hand, especially if you're like 6 chapters in, right? I've said before that if you're going to do POV swapping, you need to establish that as quickly as possible. Or if you're doing it, it's got to be this big important moment. I have issues with this. Stella's most important moment in her life is probably the fact that one of her best friends has killed themselves and that her school got shot up. I don't think something that happened 3 years ago for an 18-year-old at this point fucking matters anymore. Like, she's out of high school, man! She doesn't. Why are we bringing this up? Why is this where the camera is focusing? Also, we just had the fucking makeout scene. They just shared an intimate, deep, passionate kiss after talking about suicide, and now we're going to fucking 2017? Also, there's a lot in chapter 5 where I'm like, my god, author man, do you know how to write? Do you even know how sentences work? Because you don't, clearly. Anyway. You can do this, Stella, just don't be shy. They won't laugh at you this time. You've got this. I repeat the words in my head like a if you're repeating them in your head like a mantra, shouldn't they be in quotation marks? Because you're like quoting something to yourself. I repeat the words in my head like a mantra, but it does nothing to ease my nerves, especially since I can barely hear my own thoughts over the overlapping chatter of my classmates. Mrs. Prockling. Hold up. Sorry, we're 10 minutes in, and I gotta put my beans down. Are we bringing Saint Hammond into this? Did Stella have the exact same fucking backstory as Anon, where she... Oh my god. We're not even 10 minutes in. Actually, yeah, we're almost 10 minutes in as far as the stream is concerned, but we're like 7 minutes in recording-wise. And we're already at a point where I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I get that you killed most of your cast in E1, but this is not the solution, my man. Mrs. Brockling assigned us to make a presentation on any form of entertainment from another culture. I found it a perfect opportunity to finally show my passion and love for anime. Although I wasn't sure if it was a good idea, especially considering how many times people have laughed at me. You're at St. Hammond! There should be at least 15 people who are just fucking ejaculating over how cool anime is. There are at least 15 weebs there. No, fuck this. It's 2017. That school is filled with people who are like, I can draw, and they draw anime faces. Fuck you if you're bringing that into this. If Prockling shifted schools, that's a weird thing to introduce. Why bring her in at all at that point? Weeb, a weirdo, and nerd. Each insult was just as painful as the last. Why would they know to call you a weeb anyway? I mean, I guess it's 2017. Like, the problem I have with this, that I'm pretty sure that's like a ported word, right? Sage told me... Wait, Sage is here? So Mrs. Prockling worked at Volcano High? What doesn't kill you just makes you stronger. And she was right, though. This time's gonna be different. I know it will. Will it? I don't know. I can't believe Scary Dave left the chat. Great. Fucking ace. Alright, listen up. Okay. Weeb, weirdo, and nerd. Yeah, man. That's where we're at right now. I take it you all remember the drills. Those who volunteered to go first will be presenting today, and the rest will do tomorrow. Practicing all weekend. I still have serious face of dread. They won't laugh at me again. Blah, blah, blah. Stella Baudelaire. How the hell is there no one called anything with an A? I ain't leaving. We are not done yet. The Dunyan rings are not Dunyan rings. Seriously, why Stella first? Why can't you just have her sit there being like, oh no, everyone else is getting their presentations and it's going fine, so surely mine will go fine, or something like that. You can work with that. Or since we're living someone's fucking flashback, you could just skip to that part. Have her think this as she walks up to the front. Also, what the hell are we doing? Why are we 3 years in the past? Why is Prockling here? Why is she here? It's so weird. I mean, I can imagine that a teacher would move schools after 6 years, but it's such a weird callback to make. If the director was concerned, she was going to do great. You're going to do great. The culture is of anime. Now, okay, I'm going to put my little beans down, okay? We got to talk about what anime is from a political point of view. And I don't mean politics like all those fucking losers who jack off to I don't know what. I'm talking about soft power. And the fact that Japan has gained a lot of, let's say, cultural influence by creating anime and distributing it to the West. As much as they like to pretend that they don't, it has given them a significant amount of economic and societal influence. It's made them appealing and cuddly, and considering what happened in the 1980s and the whole like Japan is going to take over the world scare, it was a really good thing to export because anime is none of that. Now, that means you can in fact make a presentation about how anime has a massive cultural, historical, and political impact on things. Why are you involved? Oh, I mean, I guess this is 3 years ago. Should be like 15. Oh, fair enough. I guess she'd still be a little dingus back then. She gets little papats for being a little dingus. Also, if you're but again, I like I don't live in America, and I saw Spirited Away when I was a little fucking idiot. I saw a Japanese movie when I was but a wee little lad before the internet was big, around here at least. Like, I don't get why America has such a fucking hate boner to anime. Like, why are you constantly doing this? Why can't it be because Stella's actually just that stupid? Why can't you just have Stella's actual Asperger's syndrome be the problem? Like, she freaks out in front of class because of one tiny thing going wrong, and she can't adjust, and she can't fix it, and someone calls her the R word, and we go from there. Instead of making anime the problem. Like, I'd understand it if like anime is the lightning conductor by which we address Stella. Like, it's not anime, but because she's the only person they know that likes anime, which is fucking weird. Anime is pretty goddamn big by the 2010s, but it's so fucking written right by people who grew up in the 90s and have not grown up with. I assure you that anime eyes are a normal filter nowadays. Jesus. I don't want to read about the 1990s when it takes place in the 20s. That's 30 years apart, you goddamn morons. That's a generation. The people who grew up in the 90s, the people who grew up with that ostracization are now adults. They are the teachers. What are you talking about? That's not how this works. How do you... Oh my god. Rock and roll worked like that. Do you know how rock and roll and punk and everything else grew out of its space and like... What is wrong with you? Why are you this stupid? Like, rock and roll and punk were... Oh my god. It's like... Oh, it's so fucking... I exist only on the 4chan boards, and I've never been outside since the 90s. I haven't talked to a child younger than 30 years old since then. My god, it's so... And I know why. It's because you can always go with the excuse, it's not the same world. But come on! Why not just have the years line up at that point, if you're just going to do the same thing? Like, also worth pointing out, like, smartphones are not that involved in any of this. So you could even... I can't watch Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball, like, character-wise, I don't care about the fight scenes too much. Like, I'm all for some good old-fashioned explosions and stuff. And Codename Super? He makes some fun videos about, like, the cool stuff. But I can't watch that. I'm just like, I don't watch anything to begin with, but I don't think I want to watch that anyway, because it's... At some point, I'm like, get on with it. I get it. You shot a big blast. It was very exciting. Maybe I should actually watch it. Maybe I can form an opinion when I'm actually watching stuff instead of viewing it exclusively through clips on YouTube. I'm just saying that a lot of pacing and setup and execution tends to kind of be missing in those contexts. Let's move on with our lives. Let's pretend that I have a life. I see the charge replica on the screen. Let's see above the title is Japanese flags, the collections of favorite anime characters on the screen. I don't know when these people are. Okay, listen, Stella, I was willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, but if you're fucking bringing Kirito into this, I'm gonna have to say, oh, you're putting Kirito next to that girl from Spirited Away? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Get out of here. Be gone. Oh my god. Kirito? Fucking Kirito? Ugh. Eh. The British version's fucking funny. Had a good laugh with that. Ugh. I'm not saying you're bad for liking it. I just feel that it's kind of like, you know, the great masters. Mozart, Shakespeare, Bob from around the corner. Like, yes, Showing Out Online is big, but it's also slop. Admittedly, though, you can make an argument that's slop culture content, right? That, sure, Friends isn't a very highly developed TV show, but a lot of people watched Friends. A lot of people watched Dr. House and stuff. Like, sure, it wasn't high art, but people watched it. It was a cultural touchstone. It influenced people. It brought them together. You can make that argument. The problem is, I can't imagine the person who wrote this would be the kind of person to make that connection or to go for it. I think Stella would. I think it'd be great if Stella at 15 years old was the kind of aspie to figure that out and go like, yeah, I'm going to talk about this, and no one gets it because they're 15 fucking years old. And they don't understand that kind of political cultural connection. They don't know what soft power is, and Stella does because Stella likes anime, and she found this shit because it's 2017, and people figured this out already. Anyway, I'm gonna. Where's that guy? Where's that lawyer guy? I'm gonna put a link. His name is Moon Channel. I'm like lunar lawyer. It's because he's got a 2.5 hour video on the soft power of anime, and this came out when 2024. So I told you it was gonna be this one. I'm just gonna put a link I'm just gonna put a little link where I can fit it. Which one of these would work? Sure, this will work. Here. Oh, that's no. Whoa, gonna have to say fit the screen. There you go. I'm gonna politely ask that you go there and you watch that video and you ask yourself, hey, ask yourself some questions. Just think about stuff. Anyway, see you, Giants. Okay, pay no attention to the potential ridicule by classmates. They're probably not ridiculing you at all. There's probably like let me put this down for you, right? Let me put one more thing down. The way bullying worked when I was in high school, right? The way bullying worked when I was in high school is there were one, maybe two people, and most other people either laughed along out of discomfort and they didn't want to laugh, or you were alone and you were doing it for yourself. For each step I feel takes heavy, I'm sick of the concrete. I believe in you, Stella. Hello, everyone. Listen, I don't know what to tell you, man. Gonna have to high five Stella here. That is exactly what I felt like giving presentations. I hated them. I don't want to stand in front of people and they look at me, which is funny because I had to give presentations when I was getting my degree and stuff. Like, bleh, so. Why do they make you do this? Why do I have to stand in front of human beings? Ugh. Why can't I just give it to a computer and the computer says, good job. Now hold on until you feel the click. Good job. Good job. So for my presentation, I'll be talking about anime. Anime is a form of entertainment from Japan. It originated in the animated form of manga, which is weird, right? I mean, like, it makes sense. I'm not gonna argue like, man, it's weird that they started animating comics, but manga. If you look, I mean, the weird thing is the manga at the time. Well, manga for one, just I think just refers to any kind of drawing stuff. It only became a specific subset over time. It's kind of like how comics, like you've got comics in the newspaper and stuff, and they were all comics because they all have this common sort of center point of cheaply made entertainment you just throw out there. I don't know. Maybe there is something there. History is weird like that. Similar to how someone told me, a PC is a specific kind of computer. Like, it's not. Every single person I've ever met in my life in the Netherlands is like, no, a PC is just what you call a computer. That's just a computer. That's not like it's an IBM PC. What? What does that even mean? Who is IBM? This is a computer. It's a PC. Ugh. That just shows that I grew up in a different world, doesn't it? Man's very angry about the fact that America does not work the way his country does. You stop dancing. You're in a classroom, not a talent show. Oh no. Red Ankylosaurus. Oh no! It's the bully in the room. I feel my legs wobble. I feel like your tail would be the thing that's doing the funny business. I feel like if you're a dinosaur, your tail would also be doing all kinds of wacky stuff and would just knock something over, and that's how it starts. Man, Mrs. Prockling, you hold up, hold up. Has she been? I thought it said Mrs. Prockling. Like she's married, right? Yeah, she is Mrs. Prockling, and now she's Ms. Prockling. Author man, you do know that these titles are not comparable. One implies that she's married. Also, a teacher would not, like Prockling, would not say, hey. She would just slap the table with a ruler and say, enough. And then, of course, someone would come in and complain about the fact that it implies that she's threatening physical violence to the students, and that doesn't fly anymore in this day and age. And you can't spank your kids anymore. You can't spank them in public. You can't whip your slaves in public anymore either. They got all fussy. They're like, oh, slavery's been abolished. And I'm like, no, it's a prisoner. It's fine. So what exactly are we trying to establish here? Because if the point is to establish, is it about kawaii? The video itself is about the formation of how to put this. It's partially about like the escalation of soft power and how anime has been pushed by Japan over time as a cultural institution. And then there's a later video which goes into how Korea and China are trying to co-opt the anime art style to create anime that actually promotes their particular values and impressions. Like, all I'm saying is that anime definitely is now a political tool. Although, admittedly, I like this one comment, which is like, yeah, The real strong one. Yeah, but it's about the fact that a lot of people think like, oh, anime is not propaganda. It's just anime. It's like, no, no. Why do you think this shit's brought over here nowadays? Why do you think some people are mad at Crunchyroll? That's not because they, there's a lot going on there, buddy. This is what people say when they mean that not everything is political. Like, at some point, right, you can't, for one, you can't divorce yourself from politics because you are formed by the political system you're under. You are formed by the hegemony of the Americas. But on the other hand, it's also, to some extent, if you're big and influential enough, someone's going to co-opt you for political purposes. Look at One Piece. They're on a flag in a revolution. You can't tell me it's not political if that happens. Also, Luffy, some guy in a basement made a really good video about that recently. I could put that link in there too. But let's move on for now. What are we dealing with? A fucking cat girl too? A cat girl? Wait, did she dox herself? Jesus Christ. The earliest creations was Astro Boy. Astro Boy is neat. And whenever someone shows me like stills from Astro, I'm like, that's neat, man. How is that like 60 years old? That's incredible. It really makes time feel small. Also, Stella, if there's anything you really needed to learn, is the power to just stop when you're ahead. It's a difficult trick to learn, saying no to people, but trust me, saying no to people you're not interested in is a hell of a way to get ahead. Just as I calm down, people are snickering. Oh no, it's the cat girl slide. Clearly, 2 bombs weren't enough. Wow. They taught you kids about Hiroshima? I thought America was only going to teach you about the cool things you did. Also, kind of weird that this, like, for what it's worth, the Snoot game setting has mostly divorced itself from contemporary Earth, so a lot of the politicization that we can talk about might not even exist. But mentioning nuclear bombs, like the only thing we got is like the offhand comment about the Chthonian Wars, which seemed to more be to explain why racism and everything is gone. This is a weird walk back on that. Do the Naruto run. It's the when did Boruto start being a thing? Well, fuck me. We got to figure out when Boruto started being a thing now. I'm sorry. It's very plot relevant. I know people aren't really here to watch me talk about Boruto's dad. When did Boruto start coming out? 2016. You should be calling him Do Boruto's Dad's Run. Sorry. Goddamn. 10 years old? Man, I don't know how to feel. I don't know how to feel about that. That's so weird. That's so fucking weird, man. I remember, right? I remember sitting around and someone was like, oh, well, Naruto's done, and now they're making Boruto. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Naruto has a kid called Boruto? How fucking stupid are they? And then I learned, oh, no, that's just how Japanese names work. Like, at some point, you kind of. Then I realized that there's a lot more going on. But to me, it felt like, Eric and his son Erickson. Wow. Snowcam has its own alternate reality. So it was MySpace. They got MySpace. We got Facebook. Who won in the end? I don't even know. But clearly 2 bombs weren't enough for either of us. Insults, overwhelmed. Ugh. Man, this teacher sucks. I thought Mrs. Brockling... Is this where Mrs. Brockling's origin story comes from? Is this why she's such a bitch in Wani? Is because of this moment? That's an interesting way to fucking frame shit. That's great. I kind of like it. Too bad we can't actually do anything. David and his grandson's David's son's son. Yeah, listen, that's what Boruto feels like, right? Because Naruto and Boruto are very similarly pronounced as far as I'm concerned. Who knows if they're... Listen, it's all written down in a little booklet. The pronunciation's whatever you make of it when it comes to proper nouns. I know that if you go by Japanese pronunciation, you just use Dutch vowels and you go Naruto, and it is Borito, but I don't care. I will say burrito if I want to. As long as we know what I'm talking about, who cares, right? He's a fictional character. He has no emotions or honor to represent, to protect. About how much of a loser and apathetic I am, of course, is why a pterodactyl girl in the back and a red Dilophosaurus close to the front. Is that fucking Fang? What's Fang doing here? A red Dilophosaurus. Who would that be? Naomi? Mia? Why is Mia in your class? That doesn't make any sense. She's not. She's a paraphalafel of sorts. Anyway, if these are references, I don't know where they're here. I mean, if you're gonna do this, and like if it's not supposed to be a reference, you just say only a few people that would laugh. That's enough out of all of you. Mrs. Brocklin's origin story and the artillery cannon. This is where she became friends with a guy for the exclusive purpose of just bombarding her own students. This is what I get out of here. Like, between this Anon again, and the band, like, this world is just a world where people who have passions are ridiculed in public. Like, fair enough. I guess that's just a law of the universe at this point. Snoot Court servers. Isn't it weird to have this as a concept in your world? I mean, I know that in Dutch, right? You may call a Facebook a smoeleboek or a snootbook. Snootebook. Depends on how you want to do it. But, like, this is so odd out of context, right? Like, we're going to do this after we mentioned fucking Hiroshima? There's just some discordancy here that you're trying to do. Like, we're mentioning things by name. We're talking about Naruto and Ghibli and fucking Precure. And then we're like, no, we're on Snootcord. We can't bring in Discord on this. We can bring in Studio Ghibli and Spirited Away. We can bring in fucking Mononoke. But we can't talk about Discord. You can't half-ass this. If you're doing it, you must do the whole ass. Otherwise, the good Lord did not split you. And the door can't hit you. And then so there was, I could see it. I can see it in their eyes. They're aimlessly wandering the halls. Matchbox. What do you mean chaos? What the hell's going on? Aren't you... Aren't you, like, outside of class? Who's outside? Where are the hall monitors? Why aren't they making arrests? I crumpled to the ground. A tsunami of sadness. Oh, that is such a... Why don't you talk like a bigger dork? You're 15 years old, and you're into anime. You should be talking like a fucking dork. Why do you talk like an adult who's reflecting back on their past experiences? God damn, you're way too mature. Should be, like, tone it down like a notch or two. Very emotionally aware, I guess. ¿Qué pasa? Okay, this doesn't work either. If you do this, this implies that Rosa has just been incapable of separating Spanish out of her lexicon for fucking 3 years. Which is, at that point, just weird. Like, for fuck's sake, I always was like, Rosa's arrival at Volcano High is ambiguous. It could be this year, it could be the last. But there was always this impression that, like, the reason she talks fucking stupid is because, you know, she's not exposed to it too much. It's really weird if this happened 3 years ago and she's just never changed. Because at this point, no one speaks Spanish, right? Like, kids are just learning to speak Spanish. You can't just throw that shit around at this point and get away with it. And then she goes, Merde! Although, admittedly, listen, we need to talk about Quebecian swearing, okay? We gotta talk about French profanity. We got some beautiful ones, but one of my personal favorites is tabernacle. Well, it actually says tabernacle, but oh, they love throwing around their little consecrations. Ooh. I mean, I was like, she's from France, but I started to realize she might just be from Canada. I forget that because every single Canadian who comes from Canada is not in a story like this because no one writes about Canada. You are at war, I guess. Can't write about your enemies. You could have Mexicans down in California, but a Canadian, they'd be burned alive. What's worse than a Canadian? A French Canadian. The funny part, listen, I'm actually on board with that because apparently Quebec is like so far up its own ass. It's like, we must protect the French language. I'm like, go to hell, man. That's not how this works. You can't force a language. That's not how it works. It's the very nature of language to be twisted and turned. Why do I have backplates? Man, is this a fucking allusion to Ben? Did he just dent the whole thing? Lo siento, didn't mean to scare you. Just say, cry. I want to make sure you were okay. Those you never met before. My name is Rosa. What's your name? It's Stella. Why is Rosa outside? I guess because of the gardening club. So she's been doing the gardening club for 3 years. there's an ancient Chinese saying, which is don't write a story into the past further than the present can justify. Which is not a Chinese saying, and it's something I just made the fuck up. But the thing that I'm trying to say here is that the reason you want to keep your flashbacks to a minimum is they can only complicate things. They can only make things worse. Sounds for the culture in class. Are we just doing this? This is how it went? I mean, admittedly, that is straightforward. What were you presenting? Listen, listen, listen. Listen. We already know. We already know, right? We already know from Puppet Pals? No, was it Puppet Pals where Trish was like, I'm going to expose Rosa for not liking Dragon Ball Z or whatever was it? I think they made a big deal out of it. But apparently it's true. The Mexicans do like their Dragon Ball Z. Which means that Rosa is kind of a good person. Wasn't the I thought this flashback was going to be about Sage. When I was but then you're not German. You don't just uppercase every single proper noun. Every noun. That's not a proper noun, it's just a noun. There's proper nouns and pronouns and regular nouns and Uli McFerial McTwist nouns. I admit the Dragon Ball is my cup of tea. Dragon Ball is not Dragon. I gotta cross my arms and I'm gonna have to shake my head. Those are not the same thing. Dragon Ball is weird, comparatively speaking. A lot less action focused and a lot more just goofball fucking fun times. Listen, Goku defeats a guy by poking him in the ass. It's fantastic. The possibility that Toby could have seen scares me. There's no justice in this world. Anyway, they're spending some time talking. Turns out Rosa loves to garden and dance too. Dancing? Why are we using this flashback to establish that Rosa likes dancing? What a weird thing to throw out there. The Puppet Pal expose included eating at Taco Bell, wearing an Argentinian football club t-shirts, and watching DBCs with no earphones and the English dub with no Spanish subtitles. Ugh. Listen, I'm not Mexican, right? I'm not from any of those not even from that continent, but even I can tell that I have to cross my arms and shake my head. No, no, no. You should have done better to hide your shame, Rosa. God damn. It's like if people find out that I like the Spanish. Ew. Ew. Get away with that. Anyway, her mood slightly soured when I mentioned my passion for astrology. You know, we were about to have such a good relationship, Chica, but then you had to mention that you were actually into Satan. She's a fairly religious girl. She mentioned Raptor Jesus having a plan for me. I still have questions about like Raptor Jesus as a concept because sometimes people say Jesus Christ on this and everything. Like, what's his interpretation on this? Everyone knows Spanish is the spirit of TBC. I don't know. I've never watched it. I don't. I probably saw the English dub because I don't think TBC was one of those. Because if dubs in Dutch tended to occur for shows for kids because they wouldn't know how to speak English, but for teens and stuff, they usually didn't dub it, so you get the English version. Although considering what I've seen of some Dutch translations of certain mangas, I'm going to say that I would prefer it if I never hear Goku explain a Kamehameha by transliterating it, because the people who sorry, I need to catch my breath. The daymare I just gave myself of some Dutchman saying he needs to gather his Kai. Oh, oh, sweet lord. Oh no, dying. Help! Also, you had a fucking laptop. Dang. Stella just walked in with a laptop. We also spent our time getting to know each other with our experiences. Oh, she already knew Sage? Then what's this flashback for? I thought this flashback was for how you met Sage, since that was like the last relevant thing. We're talking about how you met Rosa? Like, I guess the idea is like, oh, Rosa betrayed me by spying on me. That's fair, but what a weird. Could you lead into this a little bit? Come on, man. What the hell is this? Oh, that's fucking great. I need to post this. Sorry, it's important that I do. My E3 fic. After coming back together, Fong and Anna. What do you called Fong? Get invited to a military family trip as a kid to the D. It turns out to be a cryo box. Listen, Senator, I want to waggle my finger at you, but honestly, I could kind of see Anon doing Fallout 4. I could see that. Especially in ending 3, where he's like been in the military and stuff. Honestly, I do feel like Anon's the kind of person who would walk around and say yes to everyone. It's like, what can I tell this guy? Well, you can tell him yes. You can say yes, but sarcastically. No, but actually yes, and maybe, but yes. Well, I don't know how to say no to a pretty woman, so. Anyway. Please return to room A. Stella, you were outside of your designated prison. Damn, I knew the setup. I only know the setup because someone made a meme about it. Where it was like, talking about like, man, at this rate, every Bethesda's game is going to start with the main character being or being rendered unconscious. One gets put on ice, the other wakes up in a cart. TES6 is going to start with your character having a good night's sleep. Actually, don't you start Fallout 4 in the character creation waking up? What about it? That's all tutorial stuff. None of that counts. I mean, you could say that Helgen doesn't count either, but because that's also technically tutorial. But the game still works the way God intended it to at that point. Anyway, I take it they're looking for you. I better go. How the hell are you walking around freely, but Stella's like being hunted down? Trish becomes a robo brain or a short. Normally all Assaultrons are 6'7", but for you, Trish, we made one 5'1", so you don't feel out of place. Reed becomes a really chill ghoul who's like, man, I need to take so much jet. You know they make the shit out of Brahim shit? Fucking rad, bro. One day where you're lucky you can beat Fallout 4 as Anon. Now just smear some Vaseline over the main character's face and you're halfway there. Uh, Before you go, would you like to sit with me during lunch? Does she still want to hang out with me? You still want to hang out with me after saying that I'm super cool and you think I'm awesome? After saying, man, anime's cool? You always want to sit with me? That's weird. Why do you want to sit with someone you could agree with? I mean, admittedly, she does have Asperger's, so. There's a lot of chuckle. Muy bueno. Oh, I'm gonna need